Yes.
Everybody, Kelly Mallozzi, girl number 2.
Hello. Sorry, go ahead.
Girl number 2 at Girls Who Print, principal at Success in Print, sales coach to the stars, elected councilwoman for the great state of Connecticut. Yes, we have an elected official on our meeting today. She is the Cagney to my Lacey, the Thelma to my Louise, and my longtime accomplice in our mission to empower the women of print through education, infiltration, and penetration into C-suites and boardrooms everywhere. Kelly is spearheading and revitalizing our mentorship program, and she will be leading this session, How to Make Mentorship Meaningful, with her guests that she will introduce. So Kelly, I'm going to put myself on mute, turn off my camera, and hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Deborah. So I'm going to ask Christa Nuckols, Briana Caso, and Monique Meyer to turn on their cameras and give us a wave. Say hello, everybody. I'm going to introduce you in order. So Monique Meyer is best known for turning ordinary ideas into gorgeous, high-impact marketing pieces for nonprofit and educational organizations across the country. After years of working in design and marketing communications, she's now principal at her own design firm with studios in Dallas, Fort Worth, Tampa, and San Diego. She's the founder of the School of Graphic Design, where she designs and teaches beginner to advanced courses that empower people to create their own wow, and that's trademarked. So this is a person who is dialed right into the mission of Girls Who Print, and we're so happy to have you here today. Welcome, Monique. Next up, we have Christa Nuckols, who is the VP of Operational Excellence at Drummond in Atlanta, Georgia. Christa, number one, I think wins the awesome title of the day, because I think that's a fantastic title. And I know she's also had a lot to do with sales and customer service at Drummond. She is also a graduate of West Virginia Institute of Technology in print management. And I am always fascinated when I come across people that have degrees in printing, because I never knew that was a thing when I was a kid. So absolutely fantastic. And finally, we have Briana Caso, who is running social media and doing sales for Grit Print and Direct Mail, which is a women-owned business and also direct trade printer. Briana has a very fascinating background, and you might ask yourself how she ended up in printing when her background and one of her passions is in the equine field. And yes, you heard that correctly, horses. She is a fascinating person, and I am also proud to say she's my mentee. So if we were in a sorority, she'd be my little sister, and I'm just thrilled to have her here. And so if all three of y'all would share your cameras, I don't know if I can change my view because I'm not sure who I'm seeing here. But so really for the purposes of this discussion, we want to lay the groundwork for anybody out there who might be thinking, I could be a mentor. I don't know if I'm qualified to be a mentor, or, boy, it sure would be nice to have a mentor, but just haven't had, the wherewithal or the method or the process to make that happen. So this is kind of a primer for everybody out there to say, this is kind of the best practices in the hows and the background for this. So I'm going to open up my first question to everyone. And just feel free to chime in when you're ready to answer, because I didn't give people the ability I didn't really tell anybody what the questions were going to be ahead of time. So for those of you that are mentors, when did you know that you had enough experience or enough kind of life under your belt to step forward and become a mentor?
Hi, this is Monique.
Hi, Monique.
Hi. I think I'm a little different. I'm a graphic designer. I don't work, in-house with a printer. I think for me, when I was working in-house, I felt when I was able to help people on my team, and a lot of times I work by myself, but when people started coming to me, asking me for help or asking me questions, I'm like, oh crap, I must be doing something right. And then as I got more involved in different design organizations, those opportunities kind of opened up, or I would meet people or meet younger women that would say, oh my gosh, it's so cool what you're doing. I'm like, really? I'm just doing me. And an opportunity would present itself there. So it wasn't ever anything like formal or official. It's just like a gut feeling like, okay, they need me. So here I am.
I think that's fantastic because so much of mentoring really is informal, and it does happen in those, at least in the beginning, it can happen in workplaces and with colleagues and things like that. But I know that, I think if I'm not mistaken, mentor is actually one of the things that you put in your title on your LinkedIn profile. So I think you've recognized that that is really something that you bring to the table. Christa, do you have anything to add to that?
I would say the same thing. I think it just kind of happened naturally. I don't know that there was ever a moment where I'm like, oh, I can be the mentor now, but just experience, going through years and years of experience. And then as you start getting new team members that are brand new, and then kind of like Monique said, they start asking questions and and you're just helping them along. So I don't know that there was ever a moment where it's like, oh, I am officially a mentor, but it just sort of happens naturally as you gain experience day to day.
Sure. And this is really for all of you. One of the things that might be holding some people back from, signing up for our mentoring program and actually entering into the formal relationship of somebody like what Briana and I have is, how do we find the time? Do you have any sense, either any of you, about how you've managed to carve out time for this?
I think you have to be intentional about your time because it is hard. So I think you have to plan, set a routine time to meet, so that if you don't plan, it will never happen. And so I think you have to either, is it once a month, once a quarter, whatever that cadence is, put it on the calendar, set it, and then commit to doing it. I think that's an important part of just ensuring that it happens.
Sure.
Yeah, and for me, I would say it's a little more laid back. I kind of meet people where they are. So some of my mentees, even in other programs, will text each other because that's how they communicate, or communicate through Instagram, or they reach out whenever they have questions. I think there's a mutual respect on time there. And that has worked, because when I was younger and I'm just such a laid back person, I never liked anything so serious or official. And when I was a mentee, I would be like really nervous. I was that kind of person, like, oh my God, I have to meet with her next week. And then the days would come, and I never want that to feel like that with me. So for some of my mentees, it's, something we schedule monthly, but then for others, it's, hey, I have a question about this or that. I never want them to feel like they can't just ask me a simple question on a random day. They can do that. Sure. So it's pretty fluid for me.
Okay, awesome. Briana, what about you?
Yeah, can you hear me? I have getting over a cold, so hopefully.
Oh, no, you sound fine.
I think it was a little different for me. I found Kelly right before the pandemic. So I think I was meeting with you every month just to stay sane and get through that tough time. And now it's kind of transitioned into probably every couple of months. But I find that your scheduling works out pretty nice. I can set a date and pick the time, and then you confirm if that works for you. Sometimes there'd be things that pop up, so we'd have to reschedule, and it was all very smooth, so it was easy to always stay in touch. But whether it be every couple of months where I really needed to talk to her, or she needed to check in with me, just using that scheduling tool was really helpful, I think, for both of us to plan and carve out that time, depending on the frequency.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the scheduling tool, because that was something I actually learned from Deb. We both use a scheduling tool called Once Hub. And so, you can actually just send someone a link and then just say, book time with me. So for me personally, with all of my mentees, it's basically like you have the link, you book time as needed. But I know, Monique, I'm glad that you brought up the idea of kind of the flexibility of the different platforms with regard to, kind of the logistics, if you will. The idea that, as you mentioned, your generation, my generation, it's a little bit different for us to be like, oh, I can actually have a conversation with someone over texting, or you mentioned Instagram. So Christa, I'll ask you, how have you found the logistics to work? What's been working for you as far as what platforms or how you're communicating with mentees?
A lot, I would say like through social media, like through Messenger, just, hey, just how's it going? Like a touch base, checking in kind of thing. And for us, that's usually how it is. Or we'll share different things. Hey, did you see this, Girls Who Print event, and sharing it through LinkedIn, that has been useful for us. And then from there, then typically it's been a phone call is actually how we would talk. But I think just that those not every day, but those touch points through social media and specifically LinkedIn has worked for us.
Yeah. How about you, Monique? Using any interesting platforms or anything different?
I think I use everything. I mean, I have a mentee in Toronto, so we use WhatsApp and Instagram and the text messaging. LinkedIn is great for everything. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty open. I have an older mentor from another job, not in design, but she mentors, I guess, on life. But she only likes phone calls. And so we don't talk that much because I don't like talking on the phone that much. That's not what works best for me. So I've always been like, I want whatever works best for you. If you want to chat, I love video. That's awesome. Something about a phone call, I don't know. Let's do lunch face to face. Like I like the face to face, something like that. Or if it's Instagram, you see something on there and you think of me and we start talking, great, like whatever works for you. I'm not just going to be like, has to be this amount of time on this platform. It's just, it's not going to work.
I love that. I love the flexibility of that. And the one thing that I've been thinking about is that, as Deborah mentioned earlier in this call, we're very close to 9,000 women globally in this, and so as I'm doing the mentor matching, I've got one woman in South Africa, so I'm, trying to be cognizant of time zones and, things, how to match people up. But given that there are close to 9,000 women and Girls Who Print, and we've had 30 some people here hanging tough for the last close to 3 hours, if you knew that there were people out there who were thinking about it, but they just hadn't gone to the site yet to sign up or had been doubting it in some way, Monique, I'll start with you. What kind of advice or little kind of cheerleading would you give to somebody who's kind of on the fence about being a mentor or being a mentee for that matter?
I think the best approach is to talk about my own experience. So I will say, we're bombarded with so much information, so many websites, so much social media, and there are a lot of organizations, like I said, I mentor for a lot of different groups, and a lot of them don't have their websites up to date. They make it very hard to keep my profile updated. They're not doing enough outreach to people, to mentees, so that they know that this is available. And so when someone's looking, they're not looking for something to feel like a chore or another job. They want someone quick and fast who can be their mentor, and it's a beautiful relationship. So I would encourage people to just give it a whirl and reach out. I reach out to people on LinkedIn all the time. Hey, I saw you do this, or, what do you do, or whatever. Just take the leap, I guess. But like I said in the beginning, I would just talk about my experience, because you make great connections with people when you're able to tell your own story, and it's not so corporate, professional, serious. It's like, hey, I tried this platform, that didn't work. I love this group, and so I stuck with it, and you should give it a try. And they're like, oh, okay. So a little insider information, I think, helps people.
Yeah, absolutely. Christa, what about you? Same question.
I would say just do it. Click the button, sign up, and do it. And don't get in your head. Don't worry about, do I not know enough, or do I not, you have a commonality of print. So you already have one thing that you both know, at least some basics that creates that commonality and that starts that relationship. And you're never going to know everything, but if you've been in business for some amount of time, you have experiences that you can share. Kind of like Monique said, your own personal experiences, share that. I mean, that doesn't take necessarily, a knowledge or a checklist. It's just you and what you've experienced, and talk about that. So I think just try it. And what is it, Dale Carnegie? What's the worst that can happen? That I always think is like, what's the worst that can happen? And you kind of go through that in your head and you accept it and go on. But I mean, you don't click, it doesn't work. So maybe you get assigned to somebody else. I mean, I just say, just do it, try it. And my guess is you'll find that you'll end up with a great relationship with someone else in print that has the same love of ink or something crazy that not everybody in the world has.
How about you, Briana? What are your thoughts?
Obviously it was a big game changer for me. I came into the industry with no sales background and limited print background. So I was like, I need help. So fortunately, this mentor program was introduced to me when I first started. So I knew I needed the help. So I signed up right away and then was luckily matched with Kelly. And she's just been great. She gives me, tips, tricks on some sales and marketing stuff, ideas she comes across that she thinks would help me when I have a kind of a bad few weeks. She's there to pick me up and give me the motivation to get back to it. So if for anything, I think just a few little pep talks that you can get from somebody outside of your work circle is always great. So that's the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah. And, I was doing a little research kind of about this because given that I'm a coach, I was starting to get confused about the difference between coaching and mentoring. And so, for everyone out there, and I'm sure the three of you kind of get this, is that the mentoring really is about your lived experience. It's really about where your journey has taken you and what you've done in your life. And again, so there really is no absolute qualification necessary. This is really, and when you go to the Girls Who Print mentoring site and sign up, you can actually ask about, you can say, I'm interested in these specific areas, right? Like I need to talk about pay equity or harassment or, career development, things like that. So I think the overall message that we've received is that everyone's qualified and that it is absolutely positively open to anyone. So I guess to wrap it up, because we're going to be wrapping up the rest of the day. Christa, what would you say if you had to pick the best thing about it? Because is there any one particular thing you can think of that has like been really beneficial to you about being a mentor?
I just think that relationship that I've created with my mentee, I think the world of her. I'm cheering her on. I'm excited to see her succeed. And just knowing that, and she's younger. And so it's just exciting. Like I see some of myself in her, and I just that relationship that we've created through that program, I think is the best piece of it. And I just think the world of her and want her to succeed. And I'm here to see all of it.
That's awesome. How about you, Monique? What's been a great thing for you?
Same, my approach to everything is humans first. We love what we do, but we're human. So those connections are really important. And my mentee just graduated college and just got married. So seeing all that stuff on Instagram has been great and wonderful. So that's been great for me. Just another friend, another person to chat with. Just those connections, they're amazing.
That's awesome. How about you, Briana?
I would have to agree with those two as well. I think it's the networking, the connections, the relationships that you build. I don't think I would be as involved with the Girls Who Print community, if it wasn't for you and being your mentee. So I'm very thankful for that. So
Well, and I'm very thankful you brought several of your colleagues to Women's Print History Month this year. So we got to know a lot of your colleagues through this all. And I think overarchingly, I think the whole point is, you know, that this is a very strong network full of resources, that we're very committed to each other. And, you know, I often think about that, that graphic that you saw a lot during Women's Print History Month of, you know, a woman on a ladder and she's reaching down to pull somebody up and she's reaching up and somebody's pulling her from above. You know, that idea that we're all just here for each other. And it really is truly an honor to be involved in all this matching. And, you know, I'm sort of like the person who, you know, well, this is maybe a weird analogy, but you know, the person that like adopts a dog and then they want to adopt another one. And the next thing you know, they have 10. Every time I see a mentee, I'm like, oh, I want her. Like, I want that one too. I want her too, you know? So I have to like slow my roll a little bit and not be too much of a mentee hog. And I do want to give a shout out to Deborah too, because even though we've never had formally, you know, a mentor-mentee relationship, I really do consider her to be one of my primary mentors. And so this group has absolutely, you know, changed my life as well. So I want to thank the three of you for coming. Please, everybody connect with each other, because there's going to be a time when we're going to get to be in person together, and it's going to be amazing. There's going to be a lot of screaming because we're going to all be so excited to see each other. But I know Deborah's back on and we want to wrap this up. So again, Christa Nuckols, Briana Caso, Monique Meyer, excuse me. Thank you so much for your insights and for your mentorship and your menteeship. It is, it's what makes the world go around. So thank you so very much.